Welcome to r/IDontWorkHereLady, where we share stories about folks that are mistaken for employees by irate customers. Thank you to all the people who subscribe to me. It means a lot for me. Today, we have 3 good stories. And the first story is, the student has become the master. It's the early 2000s, and I am a senior in high school. My graduating class had 800 students in it, and the school itself was a massive campus, broken up into around 6 buildings. The first day of my senior year, we spend the entire day in homeroom. You would only visit homeroom maybe 3 or 4 times a year at this school. It was just an easy way to break the student body up into manageable groups. If every student has to do a thing, line up by homeroom. If a teacher needs an arbitrary way to break up the class into groups, homeroom building letter. Want to check out a book? Name in homeroom. Want tickets to prom? School ID in homeroom. School needs to make everyone watch a presentation. For 1 hour, please go to homeroom. For all this homeroom talk, we actually sat in the room twice my senior year, and in the case of my room in particular, only once. So it's the first day of school. I have my schedule in hand, and I'm headed to my homeroom. Room A003. So, A building, in the basement, room 3. There it is. I sit down well before the bell, and manage to snag the last of the 16 desks in this broom closet of a room. Shortly thereafter, we're standing room only. And by the time the first bell rings, we upgrade to 1 sardine tin worth of students. 36 students, 16 desks. We haven't even gotten to that class yet, but things are not adding up. My homeroom teacher stands in the doorway, takes one look at his sardine students and says, "Nope, everyone out into the hallway." So we all march out of our clown car classroom. The teacher then takes us to room A004, which is over twice the size and has plenty of desks. The teacher tells us, "Just write down A004 on your schedules. If you're asked your homeroom number, say A003, but if you're told to go to homeroom, come here instead." Fast forward 1 school year. It's the last day of school. Now, for obvious reasons, no sane teacher in this district would think to demand a class of seniors do anything on the last day of high school, other than watch the clock. We are sent to homeroom. Now, I just so happen to measure in at 6'2", and my hand-grown peach fuzz beard had matured into a wonderful dark brown. All those nights of standing in the mirror using sheer willpower to make it grow more had paid off. And the icing on this cake was the fact that I had elected, okay. So we had some family stuff to go to, and I would have to leave the school and drive to said family stuff directly. So I was dressed in my Sunday best. A full-sleeve collared button-down with slacks and my nice leather formal shoes. These 3 things became the trifecta for this series of events. The bell rings and no teacher. Okay, maybe he's late. 10 minutes after bell, maybe he's really late. 15? 30? So there was nothing but chaos in this classroom. Everyone was doing whatever they wanted with no holds barred. I elected to doodle in my notebook, like the cultured young adult I was pretending to be. That is when my pencil broke. So I get up and head over to the pencil sharpener and get to sharpening. I stop and admire my handiwork when there's a knock on the door. This kills half the noise in the room. I open the door to find an older 5 not an inch more looking the 14 inches up to me. She hastily explains that her class is missing. Before I get a word in, she shows me a piece of paper. She's a substitute teacher, and she's subbing for our homeroom teacher. The class is down to hushed whispers, as everyone is listening. I just look at this poor woman as she explains that all the children just haven't shown. Not a single one. Is this A building? That is A003, right? At this time, one of my more quick-thinking classmates raises her hands and says, "Mr. OP?" This clues me in, and all the pieces click into place. I excuse myself and address the class, asking them to please keep it down and pull out their health books. Page 107. Without a single misstep, my comrades in arms all grab their books and turn to the page. Not one word is uttered, for fear of breaking the voodoo that we were casting. My fate as the teacher of A004 was sealed at that point. I give the substitute instructions to get to the main office and tell her to double-check the assignment. She hurries off and I turn to my class. For a few terrible minutes, no one breathes. Then we hear the sound of someone ascending the stairs out of the basement. We all burst into laughter. Now begins phase 2, sealing the deal. A few students rush up and scribble health-related notes up on the whiteboard. I grab my health book, turn to the fateful page. Wouldn't you know it, human growth and development. Nice. A watcher keeps an eye on the hallway. Sure enough, 20 minutes or so later, the sub returns, and she is not alone. One of the principals are along for the ride. They examined A003. No kids. We panic. A principal was not part of the plan. The largest kid in the class jumps up. "My time to shine," he says. He grabs his book and stands in front of the class. He all but obscures me from view. The door opens and the principal sticks her head in the room. Big Kid is halfway through describing the precise medical definition of a particular part of the male body. Not the one you're probably thinking of, by the way. And without even a double take, the principal is gone. Victory! We spend the remaining 6 or so hours of class completely unsupervised. It truly was the best day of my high school career. The second story is Karen knocked out cold by store security. Finally, I have a story to post on here after hearing so many stories from here read on r/. This story comes from a hardware store in New Zealand. Yes, we do exist. Look at a real map. A bit of background before the story that will happen. It's a Kiwi tradition that when a charity or club needs some cash, they host a sausage sizzle, New Zealand equivalent of a hot dog stand, outside this said hardware store. So I'm helping out my younger nephew's sports teams run the barbecue and cook the sausages when one of our cooking utensils breaks. We know said hardware store sells this tool, so I take some cash and jog inside to buy another. Now, the uniform for this place was a red and green apron draped over normal clothes and covered shoes. I was wearing a blue and white butcher's apron over my normal clothes and flip-flops. While I'm looking for the item, I hear a loud "excuse me" from behind me. I turn around and see a woman with a bright red face barreling towards me. Mid-40s, blonde hair with terrible bangs, and glasses thicker than Kim K. Disclaimer, swear words are commonplace in New Zealand and don't really hold much stance in a conversation to offend. I'll try to censor as much as I can. Karen, where the heck have you been? I've been trying to get your attention for the past 5 minutes. I need you to come ring this up for me. She points to a new garden hose and some flower seeds in a basket. OP, pardon? I don't work here, lady. I'm on the… Karen, the F you mean you don't work here? You're wearing the uniform, the apron. OP, lady, I'm on the sausage sizzle outside. I'm in here to find a new pair of tongs. Karen, I don't care what you're doing. I need this taken to the till and rung up now. My dog's in the car, and he's gonna lose his SH soon. OP, get stuffed, lady. I don't work here. Go to the checkout and leave me the F alone. She loses her SH and flips and starts screaming at the top of her lungs. Karen, what the F did you just say, you little C? I'll knock your teeth out, you ungrateful little SH. I'll have you fired and get my husband to effing kill you. Now, I'm 6'4" and 110 kilograms, 240 pounds, so I'm not a small man. This woman would have been just at my chest height, about 5'4", so the idea of her knocking my teeth out made me laugh. This just peeves her off even more, and she proceeds to throw the garden hose in her hand at me and missed horribly. At this point, a female staff member had heard her outburst and was running down the aisle to see what was wrong. Karen, this worker told me to get effed and that he was going to kick me out of the store. I want the manager right effing now. I'm gonna get you fired and make sure you never work in this town again. The worker turns to me and then back to her and calmly says to her, this dude doesn't work here. He's on the barbecue out front. He's a customer. I explain I was just in here for some new tongs, and this lady came up to me and started screaming I had to serve her at a till, and then threatened me and threw store merchandise that she hadn't paid for at me. Karen then proceeded to scream more profanities and insults at both the staff member and myself. This was enough for the real employee to ask the lady to leave the store. The woman proceeded to get physically angry and threw the rest of her items on the floor and started pulling items off the shelves. The employee radioed on her walkie-talkie to get security to come down the aisle that we were in and escort the lady out of the building. Security arrived and had to physically escort the lady out of the building. And in her kicking and screaming and struggling, Karen manages to break free and starts throwing wild punches at the security guards, hitting one in the face. This security guard was about my height and retaliated as such by swinging back and connecting straight with Karen's head. Karen's out cold, and an ambulance had to be called to check both the guard and the woman. Police arrived shortly after, and thankfully the store had security cameras down each aisle, and a review of the footage clearly showed what happened. When the Karen came to, she was charged with assault and taken to the police station after a checkover by ambulance staff. Sad to say, the hardware store was out of stock on the utensil I needed, but heck if the trip in there wasn't worth it. Edit. For all the people asking about the dog was fine. The window was down and we gave it plenty of water. Someone came and collected the car and dog about 2 hours after the incident. And the last story is, lady, I'm about the same height as their freezers. I really don't work here. I'm in a wheelchair, but I'm not paralyzed. This is relevant to the story. I can stand and walk for brief and often painful periods, but mostly I'm in a chair. While I can't drive, I can use cars, which aren't kitted out for wheelchairs because I can get myself from wheelchair to seat, and my chair folds up and fits in the back of most cars. I rely on friends, family, public transportation, and occasionally taxis to get me places to do my shopping. I can get most places by myself, but getting back with shopping proves an issue. Today, I was in my local town at a shop which specializes in frozen foods. It's set out with rows of large freezers, and then the shelves above those. The tops of the freezers are about level with my shoulders, and I can't reach anything on the shelves. They wear a uniform which is red and black, with the shop's name on them. I'm wearing jeans and a blue t-shirt. I've done my shopping when I get a message from the friend who's been my lift into town. Her car battery's dead. She's had to call her mechanic to come and give her a jump start. I realize I probably can't get from the shop to the car park before a mechanic gets there and jump starts it, so I tell her I'll wait in the shop if she could swing around and pick me up from there. The shop is understandably colder than outside, and I have frozen food in my bag. Which is how I came to be sitting in my chair by the exit, with my smaller shopping bag next to me, playing on my phone and waiting for a message to tell me the car is working. Random woman. I need some help. The staff are doing some kind of large restocking, so there's only someone at the checkouts when there are people to check out. She's just come up to the checkout and hasn't been noticed yet. I assume she's talking to one of the staff. Random woman. Louder. Hey, I need to be checked out. Me still playing on my phone. Random woman. Stop playing on your phone and start helping me. I look up and there are approximately 0 staff in sight. Also, she's looking at me. Me. What? Random woman. I don't care if you're on your break, it's unprofessional to just sit there and play on your phone when there's a customer. Me. I don't work here. Gesturing at my chair and my shopping bag. Random woman. Well, why would you be sitting there if you didn't? Do your effing job. Me. I don't effing work here, and I'm in a wheelchair. I don't think they'd hire me when I can't reach the effing shelves. At that moment, my phone goes. The car is working again. My friend is on her way, and I'm thinking a variety of gods I don't believe in for an excuse to leave this stupid woman. My little bag goes on my lap, my brakes go off, and I turn to leave. She storms over and grabs my handles. Rule number 1 of dealing with people in wheelchairs: don't touch the chair. If it's life or death or they've asked you to push them, that's okay. Otherwise, don't touch my effing chair. Especially not when I've been shopping, and my bigger shopping bag is hanging between the handles, so my balance is a little different. I slam my brakes back on, and there's some awkward squeaking between my tires and the floor. Random woman. You're not leaving until you do your job. This commotion has thankfully attracted someone who does actually work there. Staff member. Are these yours? Do you still want them? Random woman has left her items on the checkout to come and assault me. Me. Look, someone who actually works here. Now you can F off. Random woman. I want to see a manager. I want her, gesturing at me, fired. Staff member. We. Poor kid was probably trying to articulate that they probably couldn't hire someone in a wheelchair to stock shelves. She doesn't work here. There's a horn honking from outside, and my friend is there, so I wheeled off as fast as I could and left the poor staff member to argue with the random crazy person over whether I was employed or not. Who knows? Maybe I got fired just to placate her. Sorry, no justice boner here. I just wanted out of there, and I needed the ride home too much to make my friend and her poor ailing car wait. Thank you for listening. Bye.